Is it digital? Is it physical? It's art.
If you are fortunate enough to be born with a gift, it is also your responsibility to share that gift, not only to benefit yourself, but to benefit others, your people, your community.
Live with your work, artists. See which ones are misbehaving, which ones are sitting around your studio that need more attention. The ones you notice you just did and that came out of habit, not disruption or uncertainty.
The answer is a direct connection. Put your artwork in front of others as much as you can. And of course, use a website, use any means necessary to get your artwork in front. You don't know what's working until you try.
You just keep going.
There's no choice, right?
There's no choice.
Yeah.
And you can't be a victim, because then you're not going to keep going.
I think posting online and just telling people like, I'm going to do this thing for 365 days. That is motivating. That's exciting.
You are musical. You are artistic. We all have a gift. We all have a gift. We just have to find it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. On behalf of Olvi and the entire .art team, I want to welcome you today. I'm Jeff Sass, CMO of .art Registry. I'm reporting to you live from the .art laboratories, where we're always experimenting with ways to help you advance your artistic and creative careers. And today we're going to dive into some of the ways that you can take advantage of your .art domain. So if you're here and you're a member of the Hug community, you know that you have access to get a first-year free .art domain. And if you're here and you're not yet a member of the Hug community, go over to hug.art, sign up, and you too can get that first-year free .art domain. And today I want to talk more about how you can use that domain, because there's a lot of different ways to take advantage of it. We also have a treat. We have one of the members of the Hug community who vibe coded his website, and it's pretty neat. He's going to talk a little bit about how to vibe code your website. And then, of course, Elena, who runs Hug for us, is going to talk a bit more about Hug and the open calls and how to get your free .art domain. So with that, let's just dive right into it and start with my presentation. So you've got your .art domain. Now what? That's really what we're going to talk about today. First, I want to give a little background on .art. As you know, .art is the top level domain. Instead of .com or .biz or .org, you can have a domain name that ends in .art. And it's done very well. We've launched in 2017, and since then we have over 300,000 registrants who actively use their .art domain. More than half of those are actual live active websites. Also, .art domains are Web3 compatible. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Everything we do supports the healing power of art. So .art actually uses a portion of our revenue to support our Healing Power of Art initiative. So this is something that's very close to us. It's kind of a personal mission for the company, inspired by the experience of our official artist, Medina, who faced some real challenges as a child and really overcame many of those challenges by finding her voice literally through her artwork. So we support promotion and awareness of art therapy and the healing power of arts through a lot of content, and also with real dollars. We fund a fellowship at George Washington University for graduate studies in art therapy. We pay the tuition of 2 students a year. We want to bring more art therapists into the world to promote the healing power of art. So that's part of the .art mission. When you support .art, you're supporting that. Our community continues to grow. And when we think of .art, it's not just visual arts, it's all of the arts, it's dance, it's performing arts, it's music. And we have registrants in all of those areas. We have some famous people like Sharon Stone using SharonStone.art, many brands, institutions, a lot of galleries, some of the top galleries in the world like Hauser & Wirth use HauserWirth.art, etc. So when you go to an art fair, I was just at Art Basel in Miami, saw many of these galleries on display there using the .art domain, which is great. Also, many biennales and art fairs around the world use a .art domain. So as you're part of the .art community, you're in very good company. So as an artist, why is it important to have that .art domain and have that as part of your brand? It's very interesting because in the art world, there's no centralized body that certifies you as an artist, right? If you're an engineer, you can get certification. In many professions, you can get certified. If you're an artist, it's self-declared. You're an artist because you say you're an artist. So having that .art domain, yourname.art, is really an important way that you can tell the world that you're serious about your creative pursuits. And it really becomes the foundation of your online brand. There are also some real good organic SEO benefits to using a .art domain when someone is searching, and your .art domain is going to help you get found when they're searching for someone related to the arts. You know, janedoe.com could be anything. She could be anyone who does anything. But when you see janedoe.art in the search results, you know immediately that that's likely going to be the artist, Jane Doe. Same for businesses. Plaza.com could be any type of business. If you see plaza.art, you're going to assume it's the art store or something related to the arts. And as I mentioned, the .art domains are Web3 compatible. So by simply adding a text record, which is free, you can connect your .art domain to a crypto wallet or to some other Web3 asset on a number of different blockchains. So this is something where you can have the same brand in both worlds. If you're a digital artist, if you're into NFTs and Web3 is important to you, you can use your .art domain the same way you would use a .eth or some other Web3 domain. But at the same time, you could be using it in the Web2 world for your website, for your email, or to redirect. So that's really future-proof when you think about it. If you're here today watching this webinar, you might fall into one of sort of three personas. You know, perhaps you're someone who doesn't have a website. All of your artwork and your content is on social media platforms, or maybe your Hug profile or some other platform, and you don't actually have a website. That's one kind of persona. Or maybe you already have a website and it's established and it's using another domain, not a .art domain yet. And we can talk about what your options are. And then the third persona is you have a website, but you also have other projects and other things that could utilize their own brand and their own place online. So you could use your .art domain for those. So I'll go through quickly each of these personas with a little bit more detail. So the first persona is you don't have a website. You know, you're using your .art domain. You're not using your .art domain for anything at the moment, and you have all of your artwork on Instagram or your Hug profile. Well, if you got your .art domain through our offer, it also comes with a free website builder. So it's quite easy to go ahead and build a web. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to set up your free website with Get.art in a few moments. And in a few minutes, I'll show you a little bit more behind the scenes of how that works. But the other option is if you don't have a website and you really, for whatever reason, don't want to have a website, which I think is a mistake, you really want to have control of your online presence. You know, if you're relying solely on a third-party platform like Instagram or anything else, you're, number one, sending all of your fans, all of your traffic to something that you don't control. They become Instagram's customers, not your customer. And you're at their mercy. If Instagram changes something, maybe they're going to start paying for followers one day, who knows? You're kind of stuck. Whereas if you have your own domain that you control your own digital destiny, right? And even if you want to point that domain to your Instagram page, there are still advantages to doing that. So it's very easy, and in a few minutes I'll show you live how to do it, to redirect your .art domain to your Instagram page if that's what you want to do. But at least if you do that, you're training your fans and customers to go see you at yourname.art, even though it takes them to your Instagram page. And it takes them right to your page. So there's no distractions. There's no search results. They're not going to see another artist that they might, click on instead of going right to your page. So it's like creating a tunnel directly to your Instagram page or to your Hug account or to wherever you choose to redirect your domain. So redirecting is still a very good option if for some reason you don't want to have a website. And actually, I'm going to share my screen and show you an example of one of the .art artists and Hug members who actually did a really nice job building her website using the .art free website builder. So let's go to her website live. Sorry, give me a second here. Sorry, 1 second. Switch screens here. Be right with you. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this is Cromwell's website. She actually won an open call recently on a collaboration with Medina. But as you can see, this is a beautiful designed website that she's able to do in just a few minutes using the free website builder from .art. Obviously, you can click on any of these things. You can scroll through. There's a number of templates to choose from that you can use for your website. You're able to put information about yourself. I'll go to the About page. It's loading. And you can, here's the About page. So you can put your profile, all of your information here. You can have your contact information, links to your social media, and all of this is available for you to use for free. And as you can see, with a little bit of effort, you can have a beautiful looking website, and that's free. No hosting charges, comes free with your .art domain. So I'll stop sharing that and go back to the presentation. And share that again. Okay, here we are again. Stage, you can put my screen up, please. There we go. Awesome. So the second persona is someone who has a website on another domain. So here you have some additional options on how to use your .art domain. Of course, you can change the primary web address of your website. So for example, when we acquired Hug last year, as some of you will recall, the URL was thehug.xyz, and we subsequently changed it to hug.art. And there's a process you could follow so that you don't lose any of the Google juice or search history, etc., and all of your links work. And if you follow those procedures that Google recommends, it's pretty easy to change the main domain on your website. And then, of course, your old domain can redirect to your .art domain if you choose to do that. Or, of course, you could just redirect your .art domain to your existing website. So many users do that. So you could redirect your .art domain to your current website, even if it has a different domain name. That's fine. And then you can also anchor it to a section of your existing website. Let's say you have a lot of different information on your website, and you also have your art portfolio. Maybe you want to use your .art domain as a shortcut to that section of your website. A good example of that is Bank of America. Bank of America is a huge bank. They have a very big website with lots of information. They also have a section of their website on arts and culture and all of their activities in that area. So they use BOFA.art and also bankofamerica.art to redirect just to that section of their website. So it's using it as a shortcut to a specific section of your website. And that's another very good use case for your .art domain. You may want to point it to a particular section of your website for an exhibition you're doing or something else, as opposed to changing your whole main domain URL. So that's also a very good option for people who have an existing website already. And then the third persona is someone who has a website, but they have ideas. They can do other things, and maybe they want to have an additional website. And their .art can be used for that. Maybe it's pointing to their storefront where they're selling their art. A good example of that is the brand Porsche. Obviously, Porsche is an automotive company. I think we're all familiar with Porsche cars. But they use Porsche.art not to redirect to their car website, but actually for a completely separate website called The Art of Dreams, where Porsche promotes the different art-related activities they're involved with. For example, if you go there now, they recently participated in the Venice Architectural Biennale. So at the Art of Dreams at Porsche.art is all information about that. Other examples are Mercedes-Benz. Again, not pointing to anything about their cars. If you go to Mercedes-Benz.art, it's all about their corporate art collection. So there's a number of different ways that you can use your .art domain. I'm going to stop sharing now and go into a live demonstration of Get.art behind the scenes so that you can see exactly how easy it is to redirect your domain or change the domain settings so that you can point to your existing website. So Anastasia, you could share my screen. Okay, so here we are at Get.art. So if you have an account at Get.art, if you go into your dashboard or your client area, that's where you'll see all the domains you've registered, and that's also where you can manage your website. Let me show you first the redirecting, how pretty easy it is. So if you go down, I'm going to use this as the example. This is the AATA Real.art. We're members of the American Art Therapy Association, and when we exhibited at their conference, I had a video reel we were showing in our booth, and instead of having to remember how to get to it, I actually redirected the domain. So if you go to the domain settings here and click on it, you'll see that one of the options is domain forwarding, right? So if you click on domain forwarding, you'll see that all you need to do is paste the URL right here that you want it to go to. So in this case, I pasted a YouTube URL, and I actually have the domain name pointing to a YouTube video. You just paste the URL. That URL could be your Instagram page. It could be your Hug profile account. It could be your section of your website and the specific URL for that section of your website. Whatever you want, you click Save Changes, and you'll see if I go here and I'll type in AATA Real.art. Let me delete that. Oops, sorry. Gotta get rid of that. AATA Real.art. And if I go to that, you'll see it redirects right to that video. So forwarding your domain takes 2 seconds, as you can see. Very easy to do, and it's a very effective way to use a .art domain. So that's great. Now I'm going to go back to my client area and show you a few other things. If you want to change the settings of your domain, so let's say you already have a website and now you want to change it, like we changed the hug.xyz to hug.art, you would also go into your settings here and you can change the name servers and all of that DNS information. So if you go to your hosting company where you have your website hosted, maybe it's hosted at GoDaddy or Namecheap or somewhere else, Wix, Weebly, doesn't matter. They'll provide you in your settings there with the DNS information that you can set up here. So you can go to the name servers, you can go to the DNS management, and you just change the information here with the information that your hosting provider gives you. And then when you save it, now your .art domain will be pointing to your existing website. So it's very easy to do that as well. The last thing I'll show you as part of this live demo is some of the behind the scenes of that website builder. So I'm not an artist myself. I'm more of a writer, but I have a grandson who is very talented. Of course, I'm a little bit biased when I say that. So I got him liamsass.art, that's his name. And I set up a nice website with our website builder. And I'll just show you when you go to edit the website. So this is where you can make changes once you've set up your website. And as you can see, it's very easy to use. You can fill in all the information for your About section. You can add documents if you want to upload documents that people can download from your website. Obviously, you can put in your portfolio. These are some of my grandson's drawings. I think he's pretty talented for his age. You can formulate your own opinion. You can add media. You can add videos. You can add additional links. You can have your contact information. You can also use your webpage almost like a LinkedIn because you can put in all of your different social media and platforms that you're involved with: Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, Etsy, Pinterest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can add all of that very easily right here. If you have Google Analytics, you can paste your Google Analytics information so you can track your website traffic. You can even set up the ability to take donations from PayPal very easily. So all of this stuff is very easy to manage. You can choose different templates. If I wanted to change the template for this website, I could pick a different template and change it automatically. So as you can see, once you've set up your free website with the .art website builder, it's quite easy to modify it and make changes to it. So I just wanted to give you a little peek behind the scenes, in particular, to show you how easy it is to forward your domain somewhere else. So now I will go back to my presentation. Bear with me one moment while I share that screen again, and we will continue. Awesome. Okay, Anastasia, you can bring me back. So really, when you think about it, there's a number of different ways you can use your .art domain. I've just highlighted 8 different ways here that we've talked about, many of them. You can use it as your primary website, as we just talked about. We changed the hug.xyz to hug.art. You could use it for an additional site. Maybe it's your e-commerce site for your artwork, or set up a separate portfolio website. You can do a deep link like Bank of America does into a section of your website, or use it for a special art project page within your website. You can redirect to an existing URL, as I just showed you, very easily. Forward that domain to Instagram, to your Hug profile. On the Web3 side, you could link that to a crypto wallet or to some other Web3 assets. Talked about linking it to social media, to Instagram, etc. So there's a lot of different ways you can use that .art domain. So I know some people, when they get their free .art domain, they're saying, well, now what? What do I do with it? So I hope that this has been helpful in showing you a number of different ways you can put that to good use. And then, of course, another very important way is email. Email is still the killer app, and I'm surprised to see a lot of artists who actually use a .art domain for their website, but they're still using Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo Mail or some other kind of generic email address. And if you have the .art domain already, it makes really good sense to use it for email. When you think about it, what's going to be more professional? jeffsassart@gmail.com, or me at jeffsass.art, or the artist at jeffsass.art, or Jeff at jeffsass.art. Any one of those choices using the .art domain for email is going to feel a lot more professional when you present your work to collectors, to galleries, to museums, to art fairs, etc. So, one of the most important things you could potentially do with your .art domain is set it up for your email and use that. Put that on your business card if you still use them. But that's an important thing. And email is still, the killer app, right? Still very important to everyone. So that's another way to use your .art domain. One of the questions we've been getting a lot from the Hug community and others is, okay, I got the first year free. That's fantastic. But what happens at the end of the year, and how come I have to pay for the renewals, and why is it so expensive, et cetera, et cetera? Well, first of all, it's really not expensive when you think about it. There are 2 types of domains. There's standard domains and there are premium domains. And as a Hug member, you can get a standard domain for free, and we also offer you a big discount on the premium domains. So the difference is standard domains, it might be your first name, last name combination, or multiple word combinations, or things that are made up or not dictionary words. Those all fall into the standard domain category, and those are less expensive. And the renewal, the annual renewal at get.art for a standard domain is only $30 a year. And then the premium names are typically dictionary words, modern.art, recent premium names that have sold are things like, insurance.art sold recently, dictionary words, keywords, terms of art in the art world. Those are all going to be premium names. And our premium name prices vary. So there are different tiers of premium names. So some premium names are not very expensive at all. They're maybe $70 for that first year. Other premium names could be as much as a few $1,000s or a few $100s for that first year. But regardless of what the first year fee is, all premium names renew at $90 per year at get.art. So it's a little bit more than the standard renewal fee, but in many cases, it's less than what that first year fee was for the premium name. And when you think about it, especially for the standard domains, $30, think about it. It's a few days worth of Starbucks, right? For something that lasts you for the full year, but more importantly, that is your brand, that is your online presence. If you think about the other things you spend money on and the value they return, I think there are a few business or marketing expenses for you personally or for your business that are as valuable as having that domain name and renewing that domain name, because it is your brand online. So, obviously we have costs, we're a business, so there have to be fees related to the renewals, but I think it's very reasonable, especially when you compare it to the real value you get from having and using that domain name. This is the way you present yourself to the world. You want to present yourself professionally. You want to show the world that you're serious about your creativity, and having that .art domain, having that website is a really cost-effective way to do that, especially when you think about other subscriptions you might have, other services you might use. Very few of them deliver the value that a domain name delivers, in my opinion. And yes, I'm a little biased, but I think you could see the difference. And if it's still too much for you, if you still don't want to pay for that renewal, I would just want to remind the Hug community and others that we also have ID.art. At ID.art, you can get a portfolio, you can get a lot of different services, and there's no cost involved. There's no renewal fees there. As a Hug member, you can get a first-year free pro account. But for the domains, you get a third-level domain at ID.art, so something.id.art, and those do not have any renewal fees. So if you still feel strongly that you don't want to pay the $30 or $90 a year to renew your domain, you could also then just set up an ID.art account for free. And you could do that even if you do use a .art domain, and you could actually point your .art domain to your ID.art page as well. And at ID.art, there's a lot of services that come with it. You can create certificates of authenticity. You can mint NFTs. You get a QR code that points to your ID.art pages. So there's a lot of features at ID.art, and that's something you can start for free. And as a Hug member, you can get a first-year free pro account. So that's another option. So in summary, and then we'll turn it over to some of our other speakers today, and we will have time at the end for questions. Clearly, it's very important to have a website. You want to control your own digital destiny. We're living in a digital-first world, and really the best way, whether you use .art or anything else, you should have a domain, you should have a website, you should take control and not put all of your eggs in someone else's bucket. To use a corny analogy. But really, it's very important to have a website. And of course, you can use your .art domain as a memorable wallet name in Web3. You can redirect it, as we talked about, which also has tremendous value. Obviously, getting a professional-looking email address with your .art domain, I strongly recommend. And with all these things taken into consideration, I think that you'll see that renewal is worth it. Having that domain opens up many doors for you, and it's a really important part of your brand and your career as an artist. So with that, I will bring Elena from Hug.art on, and Elena will talk a little bit about Hug, some of the open calls, and how you go about getting your first-year free .art domain if you haven't done so. Hi, Elena.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me. What a great explanation. I feel like it's so useful for our Hug artists, because we're getting questions all the time. Okay, you're giving us a free .art domain, but what do I actually do with it? And as you could see from Jeff's presentation, it's actually pretty easy to use your .art domain. For my Hug community, for Hug artists, citing the Hug profile address is pretty complicated. There are a lot of things involved, but if you have just your first name and last name, and you just give this web address to the person that you are talking to, just makes things so easy, and redirecting is so easy, as Jeff has shown to you. So I think definitely worth exploring. So, sorry, just a little sideway, but I just think it's so important for Hug artists to use this opportunity. Hug, for those of you who are not familiar with Hug, Hug is a community of artists that provides various opportunities, various kinds of opportunities. We primarily focus on open calls, and we have quite a few open calls going on every week. So they're constantly being updated. I will be actually adding more this week. So there is always something to look forward to. We are international. We go beyond physical spaces, virtual spaces. There are some cash prizes. So it's all pretty exciting. We try to focus a lot on Web3 right now. So we have a really exciting open call going on with ETH Denver, for example, which is the largest Ethereum conference in the United States happening in February. So we are opening the opportunity for the artists to show their work at the main art gallery at ETH Denver. And that's just one of the opportunities. We just finished a really great open call with Tazes. We showed some amazing time-based media art during Miami Art Basel. And we are doing that constantly. We've shown it at Sotheby's Institute of Art this year, and we're going to be showing more of that next year. So please stay tuned. We announced all of our open calls on Hugs X, which is the Hug Art. So you can see all of our handles there. But of course, we also list all of the open calls on the website. So why we already understood, I guess, why it's a great opportunity to claim your free 1-year domain, just because it's great. It gives people immediately an idea that you're an artist. It's a very easy way to introduce yourself and your work. You know, you're a video artist, you have this video uploaded to YouTube, you just have your name as a web address, and instead of giving a very long YouTube address, you just give your name and that art website, and people immediately see your video, which I think is incredible, really. And so we just showed you the page where you can claim your promo code. And we listed it also in the comments section here. So to do that, maybe Anastasia, if you can put up that page again, but you simply go to the page with claiming the promo code, and then you enter your promo code at the checkout. And that immediately gives you the free options. So you get your first free year standard that are domain for free. And then if you have a Hug profile, you can, you can redirect the Hug profile to your domain name. So to your first name and last name, for example, which is easy. If you have social media where you are very active on X or Instagram, you can do that, redirect that to your domain. So I think there are so many options, and of course you can build your website. And it's so easy to build your portfolio. You have your images on your desktop, you just upload them, and voila, you have your website, which is incredible. So I got very excited about it myself, and I can only recommend everyone to do it.
Thank you, Elena. And so if you're watching this and you're not a member of Hug already, go to hug.art, sign up for a Hug account, and then you'll have access to your first year free .art account. And speaking of how easy it is to create your website, we actually have a special guest today from the Hug community, one of the hard artists on Hug, Chaz Gold. And Chaz has done something really interesting. Chaz has vibe coded his .art website. So we want to give a chance for Chaz to tell you a little bit about how he went about vibe coding. And of course, we'll show you Chaz's beautiful website at chazgold.art. Welcome, Chaz.
Good morning. How are you?
Great.
So it's funny because I was just vibe coding while we were talking. I actually I added a box for my piece of art that I made for Miami for the points over to the Transient Labs listing. I actually put it on the website while I was listening. So yeah, had to do a little bit of things. So I personally went through what's called Bolt.new, BOLT.NEW. Discovered it through a friend of mine, and basically what it is it's an LLM, a large language model you can literally have a conversation with. Now, my challenges and my ability and my problems with coding come from my having had a traumatic brain injury back in 2009. So I lost all of my use of language back then, had to relearn everything, and one of the things that didn't come back was computer languages. So it was difficult for me. It's always been difficult for me to cut code or build my own websites and stuff where I used to, and lately now because of vibe coding, now I can. So when I discovered Bolt, what I did personally was I went and looked around first at Wix.com and all the different pre-built websites that do vibe coding with LLMs, and I found a really cool template that I liked on Wix. So I took the URL from that and I went over to ChatGPT and I dropped it in there. I said, I want to build a website, but in my style, because my ChatGPT personally knows me really well. I've had the same account for 4 or 5 years now. I've it's version 1, the very first ChatGPT. So, and I was a beta tester back then. So I was able to just drop that URL in there. And I said, write me a prompt for Bolt.new that will help me build something in my style that I want for a website, for my NFTs, my art, my photography, things like that. And it gave me this massive, huge prompt for Bolt. And I just took and copy and pasted that and dropped it into Bolt, and then just started working with Bolt and started telling it what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do things, what things what I wanted things to change. And it was a little frustrating at first. And sometimes having to leverage one AI to against another, I've learned, especially recently when I was trying to add some new special stuff to it, with how difficult it was. I was going over to Gemini actually and saying here's what I'm gonna do with Bolt. How do I tell it what I want to do in coding languages that's more descriptive, that I don't want to type everything out? And it would give me these beautiful, well put together prompts and what I needed to do with it. And it went and go back over to Bolt with that copy and paste, and it actually worked. So that was a big thing. There's another platform now that I've been kind of working with that goes through Adobe. It's called not Firefly. It's I can't remember now. I had all.
It's an Adobe one. I'm sure people can find it.
Yeah, it's called Firecode. Or Firebrand or something like that. But yeah. Anyways, it's Firecode.io. And the cool thing about Firecode is that I've been wanting to retrain my brain to learn how to do code and how to work with it again, without having to use all I want to understand it better. And with somebody with my condition with a traumatic brain injury, having learning from the AI is so key and so beautiful about I can actually learn something. So with Firecode, it actually makes you start with the old school way of doing. You download the Firecode with using your what's that thing called, the terminal, and then you go through the terminal and you have to download I use Creative Visual Editor, and it'll write the code for you, but it makes you put everything in where the JSS, the JSON, everything that you need to do, it'll give it to you, but it makes you actually build the actual code yourself. So you start to you get this muscle memory thing of this is where this goes, and you start understanding the languages, and you start so that's a really cool way of doing it. So you can go to an LLM like Bolt, or have several other websites that you can just talk to, literally use dictation and tell it what you want.
Chaz, how long? First of all, it's a beautiful website. I hope everyone agrees. You can see I've been scrolling through as you've talked, and of course your artwork is really cool as well. And actually, I met Chaz at Art Basel this week in Miami Art Week at Bit Basel, and actually bought one of his NFTs. So I'm very happy to be a collector of his as well. How long would you say to get the basic website, up and running using vibe coding? How long would you say?
It took me 3 days total to do all this.
To do everything. Everything you see here is just 3 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 days.
Great.
And there's a lot of back stuff on the back end that I had it build. I actually had to ask it can you make me an admin back end panel that I have my own, the secured website, or back end with my own with my own passwords, and this completely secure, and this this not prone for hackers just to get into, and so I did that, and there's and I have access to everything and control over everything in the back end.
Very cool.
That's one of the things that you have to ask for it too. Is you have to say please test the security of the admin of this, and like make sure that my passwords, all of my security is like is set up the proper way. Like those are little things like that you always have to like ask, like you have to think about like before you go and do something like this.
Yeah.
So
that's great, Chaz, and thank you for sharing that. I think it's just the opportunities now to create stuff and building a website. You know, just because someone's an artist doesn't mean they are a web developer, and vice versa. So now these tools give you the opportunity to take control of the vision of your website directly using these tools. And I think, Chaz, one of the tips that you gave, I think, is something I wanted to highlight because it's a good tip for anyone using AI for anything, not just vibe coding the websites. And that is actually using AI to help you craft the right prompt, right? Having the AI create prompts for you is like a superpower that a lot of people don't realize they could do. And it's a really good tip.
Like when I was having problems at Bolt, because like I would get in what's called these feedback loops where we kept trying to do the same thing over and over again. Like, but I'm like trying to tell the AI, I'm like, dude, you realize that the literal definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting different results. I'm like, I know you're a machine, but I think you can grasp this, you know, and like actually having that conversation with it. And like, and one of the support people at Bolt, when they did email me back, they were like, there's a button on at least on Bolt.new, and I'm sure it's on every other website too that does vibe coding. There's a button on Bolt that says plan. And if you click plan, it'll stop eating your credits and it will give you a detailed plan of what you want to build. And then you can implement, it'll ask you like, do you want me to implement this now? So before you like start using up a bunch of credits and burning through them, you can actually make the plan, have everything built in like the way you want it, and then implement it all at once and have it built it for you like all in one fell stroke. So leverage that plan thing. If you're going to be using, like, find whatever platform you're using, find that plan button and make sure you're not burning through your credits, because that'll make you that happens. That happened to me, and they actually shout out to the Bolt.new people. They actually refresh my credits for the month like twice because of the feedback loops, and they're really cool about it. And they're really nice people over there and their support. So
that's great. Well, thank you, Chaz. Thank you for sharing all that. I think it's really interesting, you know, so if you have your .art domain and you're wondering what to do with it, if you don't have a website, you've got lots of options here. You can use our free website builder. You can be like Chaz and vibe code something amazing, taking advantage of the AI tools that are out there. So there's really no excuse for putting that domain name to good use in all the different ways we showed you today. So I think that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to share them in the comments, and we have a few minutes left where we can take some questions or any comments from the audience. I did see one comment from someone that said, when people give me a business card and I see at gmail.com, I automatically downgrade them. So someone's opinion on the advantages of using a domain name as your email address, that's something more personal and more customized.
I'm going to set mine up. I'm going to do Chaz at chazgold.art today.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. So I see we have one convert from today's webinar, so that's great.
No, I'm sure there will be more. There will be more, and it's just, I think people just need to go and experiment with their domains now.
Great. So thank you for everyone for listening today. And again, this will be live on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions that you don't want to share now, you can always email us at support@art.art or info@art.art. And, you know, I think in summary, we really talked about, number one, you know, become part of the Hug community. Go to hug.art and sign up if you haven't done so already. Number two, once you're part of the Hug community, take advantage of the first year free .art domain that we offer to everyone who's a member of Hug. And then number three, put that domain name to good use. We talked about a lot of different ways. I've showed you how easy it is to forward your domain to an existing website, to your social media page, wherever you want. We just talked about with Chaz about how important it is to use it for your email. Chaz has that beautiful vibe coded website. Now he's going to have a beautiful email address to go along with it at chazgold.art. So if there are any questions, just let us know. We also have some premium discounts over at Get.Art right now. If you use the code Art Friday, you can get 70% off a premium domain. And of course, as a member of the Hug community, you can get that first year free .art domain. And if you want to go over to ID.art, you can get a free account there, and Hug members can get a first year free pro account, which lets you upload more content to your ID.art platform. So I think we covered a lot. If you need to rewatch the video to see some of these tips again, but we appreciate everyone being here today, and hope that you found all of this information useful. And we're always here to help support you. So thank you very much. And any closing remarks from you, Elena?
No, I just welcome everybody. Please come join Hug as an artist or as a community member and get a good use of your free 1 year .art domain. So
Great.
go to hug.art, go to our socials. We do so many cool things.
Terrific. And, we talk a lot about Hug.art and Get.art, but the reality is that you can get a .art domain anywhere where domains are sold. So if you prefer to get your domain names at GoDaddy or Namecheap or WordPress or Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, .art's available at all of those places. So that's always an option as well. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. Hope you found this information useful. I'm Jeff Sass, CMO of .art Registry. Thanking you and saying goodbye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.